The ClickUp Template Center is arguably one of ClickUp's most powerful features. I mean, you can templatize basically anything you want inside of ClickUp. I'm talking tasks, lists, folders, docs, spaces, views. The list goes on and on. But then the question then becomes, how do we best use these templates? Really, what do they represent? And what are the best practices when it comes to the ClickUp Template Center? So if you're asking those questions, you've come to the right place. I'm going to walk through all of that in today's video. And hey, since you're watching this video, I want to give you a free gift. In the top right-hand corner of this video, you're going to see a link to our free agency client onboarding task template. This is going to give you a good sort of structure for how you build out your templates inside of ClickUp. So go ahead, hit that link, go get your free agency client onboarding task template built directly inside of ClickUp. It's also going to be in the video description below. If you don't see it up there, go ahead and grab that link before we start today's video. So cool, now that we're done with that, let's go ahead and jump directly inside of ClickUp and walk through the ClickUp Template Center. All right, so let's jump into ClickUp here and talk about the Template Center. So first off, we need to talk about where to actually find it, because if you can't find it, then you can't use the Template Center. So I'm gonna go over a few different places. There's a ton of different ways that you can actually find the ClickUp Template Center. I'll go over a few of my favorites and what I'd recommend in terms of you actually going and deploying templates inside of ClickUp. So what I'd recommend is you actually use sort of the hierarchy over here. So depending on where you want to actually deploy a template, this is why I would recommend this, is because now if I come over here to any of these settings, so if I'm trying to deploy a template into this space, I can go to the space settings, deploy a template into this folder, go to the folder settings, or deploy into a list, go to the list settings just like this. So I can come here to my list settings, go here, templates, browse templates, and there we go. I have found the ClickUp Template Center. In addition, as I noted, you can come back here. Again, if I go into the folder, same thing, templates, browse templates, just like that. Very easy to find. A couple other places, any task really inside of your workspace, I come here, ellipsis, templates, browse templates, find it that way. Or if I'm in a task, I'm going to see it up here at the top, find my task settings there, go to templates and find it that way. Or if I'm actually in a task here or in a doc or really anywhere you can type and use slash commands, I can find it by typing in templates just like that, find template, and now I can use one of these templates here that have been recently used, or just browse templates and find the ClickUp Template Center again that way. The last place here that I'd recommend is you come up here to quick action menu, find your Template Center right there, and again, you can find the ClickUp Template Center. So let's backtrack and go over again why I said that you should use sort of over here inside of this hierarchy to find and deploy templates. So if I come here to the list settings, and if I want to deploy a task template into this retainer XY list, if I come here to list settings, go to templates, browse templates, let's say we need to do a blog post for Zenpilot here, I can go to my task templates and I can find that blog post that I've saved into my template center. Make sure we have task turned on. We'll go to blog here, search for it, and then when this comes up, we're going to see, just like that, blog, use template, and now the location of the task where this is going to be deployed is already set and ready to go for me. If I don't do it here, there's a chance that this won't be set up to the spot I'm trying to actually deploy this task template into, and I might forget about that and I deploy it into the wrong spot. So this is just sort of an easier way, safety net for your team to make sure that all the tasks get deployed into the right location if they don't check this. So this is just a great way, again, based off where you want to deploy it, just open up the settings that way, find the template center there, and then this location will be set and ready to go for you. So that's what I'd recommend. Again, that is where to find the ClickUp Template Center. Now let's go over a little bit of what it looks like and what's included here. So inside of the Template Center, you'll see a few different things here. Your workspace templates, which are the templates that you and your team have created. These are your customizable templates that, again, you've built out. You're also going to have the ClickUp templates. There's a lot of ClickUp templates that they've essentially just built for you that you can use. The one warning I would give you is if you start using a lot of ClickUp templates, they're all going to come with their own custom fields and statuses and tags and things like that. That can make your workspace an absolute disaster because you're going to have a bunch of custom fields and statuses that are not really matched up with everything else. And that's how you start to lose visibility and things like that. Because if you have a lot of statuses in your workspace and you got to the everything level to kind of use it as a filter or into a dashboard, you'll see just a long list of statuses that make it so difficult to actually see anything. So just be careful with that. You want to have some consistency with statuses and custom fields. And using a lot of these templates is a way to just get rid of that completely and make it a disaster. So you'll always need to clean it up at some point. But nothing wrong with these, especially they're great. Some of these doc and whiteboard templates are great for teams. So feel free to use them if you find one that's super helpful for you. The one that I would recommend is the HubSpot account setup, because that's created by us. So if you want to see how we actually build out list templates, that's a great way to see that. Task template that I shared with you earlier, the client onboarding one, that's a great one to use as well. But if you want to, you can find that in there, made by us, which is super cool. So that is the ClickUp Template Center. Again, just be careful with some of that. They also have that sort of narrowed down by complexity, beginner, intermediate, advanced. You can also use these use case filters over here to kind of figure out and find what you're looking for. So creative design, engineering, product, whatever it may be, you can filter that down to find something, or you can just search for it as well. So that's the ClickUp templates. Now the activity log, essentially this is a great way for you to see which templates have been deployed by, or when they're deployed, the status of them, so on and so forth. So if you want to kind of see all that in one place, you can do that right here. Let's go back. The last thing to note within this is going to be the template types. So if you go and open up a template, as you could see earlier when I was searching for blog, the blog is not a list template. So if I search for it here and the task template is not toggled on there, it's not going to show up. That's actually a ClickUp template that'll show up there, and I don't want to use that. I'll see task there, and now it's going to show up. So you just need to be careful. If some of your team members are wondering, why the heck is this not showing up? There's a chance that it's just because they don't have one of these toggled on. So just make sure. Sometimes these are toggled on automatically depending on where you open up the template center. So just be careful with that. Just make sure you find the settings for the template type that you are looking for and toggle that on there. So lastly here, tags. I'll go over more of this when we actually talk about saving templates, but tags are just super helpful ways to filter down types of templates. These are tags that are separate from your ClickUp tags that you're seeing sort of in a list view. If I were to go back, these are going to be ClickUp tags for the template center specifically. So these are not going to be reflected inside of any of your list views or anything like that. So just remember that. But these are very helpful for me to just be able to use these as a work category to sort of filter down the types of templates that people are looking for. Just makes it easier to find templates. You can obviously search for all of them, but tags can be sometimes helpful as well. And you can also filter down by who created a template. So if you're looking for templates that you've created yourself, you can do that here as well. So that's great. Now let's talk about actually using a template here and what this looks like. So if I come here, as you see, this is sort of my task template card per se. I have the opportunity to upload images to all of them if I want to make it a little bit prettier and maybe easier to search and find for my team. So you can see the ClickUp templates all have, if I were to go back, I won't right now, but all the ClickUp templates have thumbnails here to make it a little bit prettier, but we don't on ours. If you want to take the time to do that, you can. You can also add descriptions to this and make sure you have a good naming convention for what it actually is. And then again, you can use tags here to narrow down in terms of search, just to help filter some of those. You also see what the template includes, custom fields, tags, if there's any automations, any statuses, things like that. Those will all be here listed out. And then who it was created by. This is very helpful to kind of know who it's shared with, when it was actually created, when it was last used, when it was last updated, and how many times it was used. Just kind of helpful settings there for you. The other cool thing here, and what I love about ClickUp, is the ability to create public templates here. So if I want to be able to share this with another workspace, or this is essentially how I shared that client onboarding template with you, I can copy this link right here. And if I go to a new window, I can paste that into my browser. And as you'll see, now it's going to open up sort of the workspace, my workspace here, the task name, and then where I want to deploy this. So the template that you've created in your workspace, you could share it with another workspace. They can deploy it and then save it into their workspace there too. So it's really cool that you can do that. Again, that's kind of how we have sort of given out templates and things like that, is by using that public sharing feature right there. So that's super cool and something to note when you're creating these. So that's really an overview of the templates. If I were to go to use this, as you can see, it's in delivery Zenpilot. I need to make sure that gets to the right list. So always take note of that. Now it's going to the correct location. You can rename it. So the blog post might be the template name, but now I need what is the actual blog post name? I can go and type that in there. If I want to, let's just do blog post number 1. Great name. And now I can customize some import items if I want to get rid of anything in here. I'd always recommend getting rid of watchers so that whoever created the template isn't a watcher in every task that's then deployed from this template. I'll go over that in a little bit here. And then the cool part is I can remap the dates of this as well. So I can choose the parent task date like this. Let's say I want to push this 2 weeks out, and then it's going to remap all of the dates within that task template, which again, we'll go over in a little bit there. You have the ability on a list template. If I were to go to deploy a list template, let's go to the folder here, templates, and I'll just show you what that looks like. I'll deploy a website redesign template. In that now, again, we can see all that's including everything that I showed earlier. use a template. We can name the website redesign here. Otherwise, it's just going to be website redesign. I'll do website redesign 1, really creative name, Jeff, good job. As you'll see, it's going to delivery space, Zenpout folder, customize import items if I wanted to. And now this is where it's really cool because now I can remap the dates. I can choose the start date or sort of the first date that is in that template. And then sort of everything will follow after that. Or I can choose when this whole project is due. And then everything is going to backtrack from that. In addition, I can choose to skip weekends here as well. So if you have a long list template like a website redesign, which is a larger project, you want to make sure tasks don't fall on weekends, I can turn on skip weekends, and that's going to skip all the weekends. So Saturdays and Sundays won't have any tasks fall on them, which is a super cool feature that you can use with list templates. You can't do that with task templates, but you can do it with really everything else there. So then I can go use this template, and that's going to deploy that whole website redesign into the Zenpout folder. Again, that makes it super scalable for us because we have all of the tasks already created, that then I can just deploy that over and over again every time some client orders a website redesign or we sell that project. So that'll take some time to actually deploy. Mainly, if you just refresh your screen, the next time it's refreshed, that should show up for you. But let's move on to a little bit more things to take note of in here. In addition, you can use default, or if I wanted to, templates here. I can use default task templates. That's what I was trying to refer to. Default task templates, essentially, anytime a task is created in a list, that template will be deployed on it. So I wouldn't really recommend it that much because that's a little bit harder to manage, because if someone adds a task, it's automatically going to deploy that template to it, which sometimes is not what you want. So I don't know if I would use this feature quite yet. There might be a use case in the future, but right now I wouldn't recommend it unless you have a great way of utilizing that. I just think it could get a little out of hand and make it harder to standardize anything. But that is something that you can do inside of ClickUp there. In addition, if I'm in a list, let's just go to my retainer XY. As you can see, my website redesign template just showed up and we have all the tasks and everything in there, which is awesome. But if I want to, I can go up here, and let's say maybe there's something that you do all the time for clients, is I can go and I can pin a template here as well. So let's say blog post is one that we're doing all the time. I can pin that. Basically what it's going to do is it's just going to make it very easy for me to go and deploy that blog over and over again. The only problem with that is then if I actually deploy this, it makes it a little bit harder for me to add any of the additional things that I was, like remapping the due dates and things like that. So it's just going to go and deploy that over and over again if I want to. As you can see, now the blog shows up, which is great, but I didn't have an opportunity to remap those due dates from deployment. I can go into my Gantt view after that's done if I wanted to, go into the date remap view and remap them here, but I didn't have the opportunity to rename it or do any of that before it was actually deployed. And some of my templates are going to be like way in the past. As you can see here, I can go and deploy it or remap it if I wanted to. Let's say first task can be today. So I have that all set up now, but again, there's just a few limitations there that you can't go and set up any of the additional settings that I did when I deployed it from the ClickUp Template Center. But that is something that you can do if you want to do that to save a little bit of time. You can pin the template there and use it over and over again. So that's the Template Center and the big things to know. Now I want to walk through how to best use all these templates and sort of the different types of templates inside of ClickUp. And the biggest recommendation I'm going to make to you today is that you go and, before any of this, you go and create a process library. And the reason is because if we go again to the Template Center, what we notice in here is I have all my templates listed out and I can deploy them as much as I want, but I don't have the opportunity to kind of come in here and edit anything within this template. Yeah, sure, I can add a cool image and some descriptions and tags, but I can't actually edit this new client folder template from what's inside of it. So I need to have the source files available to me because none of these templates are going to be static. I'm going to update them as we update our processes, as we need to change maybe some time estimates and some due dates. So we don't want these to be just in the Template Center. We need to have a spot inside of ClickUp where we can go and manage them and update them and optimize them as time goes on. So build out a process library space where all of that work is going to live. As you'll see here in my process library, I have a ton of different folders and things like that. Don't worry about all of this. Essentially, this is the process library that we give our clients when they work with us, because we'll give them sort of a structure for them to use, as well as all of our templates that we deploy into their workspace so they can use them for best practices and also just maybe final solutions for them to use there as well. But mainly just go and have a delivery templates, operations templates, growth templates, and then you can have some additional folders in here as well for like your new client folder, which I'll go over in a second, but I want to talk through how to best use all of these. So the main ones you're going to be using are task templates and list templates. And so the difference between the two is that a task template is going to be more for your deliverables or smaller items that you do for clients that maybe you do sort of on a recurring basis. So like blog posts, podcast episodes, Google search campaigns, or just sort of smaller things that, again, they're kind of tools in your toolbox. Let's call them that. So the way that a task template works inside of ClickUp is if I go, let's go to this inbound list here. And again, as I talked about tags earlier, these are some of my work categories, just kind of a way to sort and filter these out here in my process library. But then these can become tags that I use in the template center to make it very easy for me to find them. So it's just helpful to have some sort of structure of organization for you to filter and sort things. So as you can see here, these are all task templates, podcasts, case studies, press releases, ebooks, white papers. Again, smaller things that aren't like a larger project. They're just a smaller deliverable that would maybe fit within a retainer. So if I go here to blog posts, this is a great example to talk through. A task template is going to include your parent task and the subtasks underneath it. And that's basically it. It's going to include those pieces as well as all the details or whatever that live on all those tasks. So the way that we set these up is that the task or the parent task is the deliverable. So blog, funnel audit, content audit, webinar, content offer, so on and so forth. And then all of the subtasks are really the action items that are needed to complete this blog post. So this is going to be what helps pass work back and forth, creating the strategy, writing the outline, writing the copy, applying the revisions, designing imagery, all the way down to schedule, log, publish, date. So that is sort of my workflow there. A task template is going to include this, everything here, and then all this stuff, which we'll get into right now. So if I come in here, in addition, the reason that these are so valuable is because they're going to include all those details like due dates and time estimates that I can sort of remap and things. But they also include the how to do this. So I can add a description. This description can be a written description of how to complete it. I can put the SOP sort of right here. I can record a video and put that in the task description. I can link out to an SOP document. I can put a template in there. So if it's like an email, I can put the email template right here. And then I can also use the checklist items to give them, like, don't forget to do this, this, and this, just to make sure that people follow our process. So this is valuable because the process needs to live where the work gets done. If I come to a task and all of the context for how to complete this is right in front of me, I can just go directly to it and complete that task. Very easy. If I have to go and search for the process or the how-to to actually do it, there's a chance that either I won't follow that process because I don't feel like going to find it, or I'm just going to sit here and be like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So the process lives where the work gets done. Build the task descriptions, the how-tos, as well as the checklist into your processes to make them very easy for, let's say, an intern to come in and complete that well and be sort of at a 2-1 level instead of the 1-on-1. So that's going to be very easy and make it way more scalable for your team. All that's going to be included inside of your task template. In addition, we have due dates. And so due dates, the way that this works, as you saw me deploy a template earlier, I can just have dummy dates between these tasks. Again, these are way overdue. That doesn't matter. All I care about is the distance between all of these dates. I care about this being May 3rd, April 24th, all the way down to May 3rd here as well. So that way I can choose the due date to be December 5th, December 4th, whatever it may be, and then all these are going to remap with it. So that's all we really care about there. We also have our time estimates for how long this task should take, or our estimate of how long it should take. Sometimes it might take longer or shorter, but that's going to be super important for workload. The more tasks you can have time estimates on there, that's going to give us sort of that workload view and actually fill that out for our team. And then in addition, you'll have any custom fields that you will want on those tasks as well. And I always recommend the deliverable. I have a couple other videos on why that's important. This is just going to be helpful for us to A, sign work in the future, and B, make hiring decisions. So you want to have deliverables like this inside of your templates as well. And then lastly, from here in the task templates, we're also going to include dependencies. As you saw earlier, I remapped the due dates on that task template, but we build these dependencies in here so that we can do that. So make sure all your dependencies are built out just like this. You want to have a Gantt view to build those out because it's very easy. Just show you how to do that. I can delete a dependency like that, and I can also add it just like that. So very easy to drag and drop and add those dependencies inside of the Gantt view. So that is a task template. Again, it's a smaller deliverable that we're going to probably do over and over and over again. All I'm going to bring with a task template is a parent task, the subtasks, and everything included within this here. So to save that, I could go right here to the blog post template center, save as a template, name it blog post, add the tag. I can make it public sharing if I want to. I can share with only me or everyone, and then customize included items. As I mentioned earlier, make sure watchers are turned off when you save that. Otherwise, you will be a watcher on every single task that's deployed from this. So be careful. Unless you go and make sure you're not a watcher on all those tasks, you may be a watcher on every time that this is deployed. So just be careful of that. I would turn them off no matter what. In addition, I could also go into the log here, open up the task, and then I can find my task settings up here. Click on that and save it that way. So same kind of process I followed before. Task settings, go into templates, save as a template, just like that. The other cool piece of this that you'll notice as I go through this is updating existing templates. So this is the reason it's super important for the source files here in the process library, because I can update the existing template just like this. So if I make a change to the blog post and I want to make sure that I update the process inside of the ClickUp Template Center, I could go click on blog, next, and just save over that. So that way you don't have to go and create a new template, delete the old one, and then make that the new one. I can just go and update it. What that's going to do is it's going to update it inside of the template center. It's not going to update anything that's been deployed from that blog post before I updated that. So all those are already live. They're already living. They're separate from this, but this will update what's in the template center. So now every time someone deploys it, it's going to use this new process with those updates and changes that I just made to it. So that's one thing to note there. So that is our task template. Again, bring the parent tasks, subtasks, and everything within that. So the list templates are going to be a little bit different. These are going to be your larger projects that you do for your clients. So I can't deploy a list into a list. These will come as a separate list. But what a list template includes, and what I would recommend you build your list templates as, are sort of like the larger things like client onboarding, campaign designs, brand redesigns, HubSpot setups, video productions, website redesigns, especially. What is going to be included here is not just going to be a parent task and subtask. So I'm not just going to include this and everything underneath that. I'm going to include this, everything underneath that, this, everything underneath that, this, everything underneath that, so on and so forth. In addition to that, I'm also going to include all of these views at the top. So that's going to include all the tasks in here. So I can basically build out a whole project, and these basically, the parent tasks become sort of the milestones within that project. So I have all that. Now I can deploy a ton of tasks, parent tasks, subtasks with it, have all the task descriptions in there, make it super scalable. Every time someone orders a website, we just go deploy that task, assign it out, and we're good to go. But we also have the views to make sure that this is standardized, this is structured. So every time someone comes to this, they know what views they're going to see. It's not going to get confusing, and it's going to be very easy for our team. In addition to that, you'll also be able to save sort of any of those list settings in here as well. So if you go and you add an automation to this list, that's going to come with a template as well. So you're going to be able to bring more things like statuses, automations. A task template will basically, like, anytime you deploy it into a list, it's just going to be deployed into that list, take over the list views that are already in there. It's not going to bring any of those settings with it. It's just going to bring the task, subtask settings, where this is going to bring all of its own list settings with it, including automation statuses and things like that. So just take note of that. That's a bit of a difference there with the task and list templates. The list templates are going to be able to include more parent tasks and subtasks for those larger projects that you may do for yourself or for your clients. So again, that's task templates, that's list templates, the way that you would save a list template. You just come here, list templates, save as a template as opposed to going to the task, just like that. So you're going to save the list up here as opposed to the task. Next up is going to be the folder templates. So task templates, list templates, now folder templates. Folder templates are ways for us. The main use case for this is going to be a client folder. That way we can, anytime we bring on a new client, we just deploy it over and over and over again. So within a client folder, now we're able to bring in a lot more. So we're going to bring in the folder with any views that are at the folder level, any automations that are at the folder, any settings that are at the folder. Those are all going to come with this template. In addition, we're going to include all the lists underneath this folder. So we're going to include the onboarding list here, this SEO list, email, paid search, paid social, paid search, inbound account management. All of that's going to come with this folder. All of the views that are in here are going to come with it. So you're basically taking almost a bunch of tasks and list templates, saving them into the folder, and then it's all included. So you can either build sort of puzzles with your task and list templates, or you can build it all into the client folder. I'd recommend having this be very structured, and you definitely have a client folder, because now you can also bring in things like client docs. So now we have our meeting notes in here, our client overview. So it's all structured. In addition, you have the onboarding process, which can be saved as a separate item, or it can be saved right into the client folder, because then every time we deploy this, all the tasks are already deployed in there for us to start onboarding them. So it makes it very easy and scalable that way. So folder template, it's going to be saved right here. Go to templates, save as a template. But again, that's going to include and bring any settings in the folder, any views in the folder, any lists underneath here, any docs underneath here, as well as any tasks in those lists. So you're just, again, moving up in the hierarchy: task, list, folder. Those are main three templates that I would recommend that you use. In addition, up a level, we have a space template. So I could say this whole process library altogether. I wouldn't recommend space templates that much. I think they're most useful at the beginning of when you're actually setting up ClickUp, because say you sort of build out the main skeleton or structure you would want for a certain space. Like I build out a basic growth space, and then I want to take sort of the folders and views and stuff that I build into that, and I want to kind of duplicate it. I can save that as a template and then deploy it as its own. And those are going to include a lot more. Like a space is going to include some click apps and things that are turned on. Take note of that. But space templates I wouldn't use very often. They're a little too high in the hierarchy for us to use. But you can sort of at the beginning of when you're actually setting up ClickUp, use them for sort of build out a skeleton space and then deploy it for your other spaces that you might need, and then customize from there. But again, spaces you probably won't use very much. Tasks use the most, lists second most, and then client folders or folder templates are the third most. In addition, though, to those, you can also, if I want to go down a level in the hierarchy, I can save checklist templates. So if I go into, let's just go back to our client or inbound list with a blog post. If I had a checklist in here that maybe I did for a bunch of different subtasks, I could save this. So I can come here and I can save a checklist template just like that. I don't really use that very often. I don't think you will either. I just typically build the checklist into those tasks, and I think that does all you need them to do. Having a checklist, unless you're using checklists in a different way than we are, you probably won't use that as much. But if you have a good use case for that, you can definitely use checklist templates. Just kind of save them into a task, go here to the checklist, save the template that way. And it's just going to bring that checklist there that I can then deploy into other tasks if I want to. As you can see here, I can use a template. And if I had a checklist template, I could go and deploy it that way. So those are our main sort of hierarchy templates to use. Now we also have view templates, doc templates, and whiteboard templates. So I think that these are very powerful. I use view templates all the time. But again, as I mentioned, if you have a folder template, if you have a list template, you can save the views into those folders and lists to help with standardization. But I think it's very helpful to have view templates just in case maybe someone messes up a view, or you just want to kind of deploy that view over and over again, especially if you don't save the views into your list or folders beforehand. It's always helpful to have those views as a safety net to deploy them over and over again, instead of having to recreate the settings over and over. So you can have a folder in here for view templates. Obviously, views look a little bit different and work a little bit different because you're going to have certain settings and filters and things like that at different levels in your hierarchy. But if you want to, you can build some view templates in your process library and save them. So like our Gantt view is one. And so a view template is going to basically bring all the filters that you build into it, any sort of the settings and customization that you do over here, as well as if I were to pin this, that's also going to be saved into the template. So if I wanted to, basically this date remap, I could go ahead, I could save this as a template like this. Let's just rename that date remap number 1, just like that. I could save the template. And then let's say that I wanted to deploy this somewhere else. So I wanted to go into my delivery space. I wanted to go into my Zenpilot folder. What I could do now is I can come here, I can add a view. I can add the Gantt view just like that, because that's the view template that I did save. And then I'll be able to go right here. And so now we don't have any filters or settings set up. What I could do, I could go to that Gantt view, go to templates, browse templates, find my Gantt view template, date remap 1, use the template. And now I have sort of all the filters and settings that were set up in that template all deployed with this. So that's just kind of an easy way. Again, if you want to standardize some views, create those view templates that have sort of your set filters and set columns as well. So any kind of view is going to bring any of these columns that you have set up in as well for especially a list view. So that way it's consistent across your workspace. You can save all of that, all of these settings into a view, save it as a template, and deploy it over and over again. So view templates are very powerful, but again, they can be saved into a list or a folder or a space template as well. They're not going to be saved into a task template because a task doesn't have views applied to it. Only the list or the folder or space does. And so in addition to views, as you can save doc templates inside of ClickUp. So again, let's go down here to my process library. So docs, as I mentioned earlier, they can be saved into your folders and your list templates. So you don't necessarily need to have them as separate items, but it is very helpful to have them as separate items, especially if you have meeting templates that you want to deploy in different spaces. If you have sort of SOP structure that you want to save, the way that doc templates will work is you can have parent docs and sort of sub docs here that I could go. And if I save the template there, that's going to bring everything underneath this agency SOPs doc here. So that's going to bring all of that if I want to or I could just do one solo document here, like my level 10 meeting template. So the power of this is if I say this is a template, which I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it, but it's going to be sort of the same structure that you would do everything else. Save this as a template there. And then if I have a separate and new doc set up here, I can go use my / commands by typing template. And you'll see here, I can either browse templates or I can search for my level 10 meeting template like that, click enter, and that's going to deploy the level 10 meeting template right there. So as you can see now, that loads, it's good to go. And it just makes it super easy to deploy those doc templates like that if you have them as separate items. So definitely recommend using doc templates. They're very powerful, great, easy way to have structure. Maybe you have sort of like campaign documents or templates that you might use that you want to just have deploy over and over again. Again, save those in the lists or folders if that's easier, or you can have them as separate items so that you can have the puzzle built or build them with sort of these as the puzzle pieces. So just take note of that. And then the last one is going to be a whiteboard template, very similar to a view template. If you just create a whiteboard inside of ClickUp, you would save it the same way as a view template. I haven't used them as much, but again, if you kind of like to use whiteboards to maybe brainstorm or do things like that inside of your ClickUp workspace, you can use those and just have sort of a structure already set up and ready to go. Again, same way you would save a doc or a view template, but you can do whiteboard templates here as well. And that's really all of the templates inside of ClickUp. I say all the templates. I mean, there's a ton of different templates that you can use and leverage inside of ClickUp. Again, how I would use them, your task templates are really going to be for your deliverables. Your list templates are going to be for your projects. Your folder templates are mainly going to be used for your client folders. I think that's the best way to leverage them. View templates and doc templates, those can be built into your list and folder templates if you want to, or they could be separate items just to help with being able to deploy them by themselves as opposed to already deploying them within the folder. So definitely build those out as well. It's just going to help with structure across your organization, help make ClickUp a little bit more simple for your team because there is a lot in here that can make it a bit complex. So use templates, build a process library, get all those listed out inside of ClickUp, build your source files, save them to the template center, and use them over and over again. It's going to make your agency, your business way more scalable, help you bring new team members on, and just standardize a lot of your services that you do for clients. So seriously, go start building a process library in ClickUp and leverage the ClickUp template center. Process templates are what make agencies and any business more productive, more profitable, and healthier all around. They're going to standardize your services, provide clarity for the team, enable easy task management, and come equipped with the data that's going to help get you the visibility that your agency needs. And if you like this video, please go and hit subscribe. We're going to continue to deliver content specifically for agencies trying to get the most out of ClickUp. Or if you're ready to completely transform your operations, go to zenpal.com/call and book a call with one of our experts. At Zenpal, we've helped close to 3,000 different agencies from all over the world build more productive, profitable, and healthy teams by streamlining their operations inside of ClickUp. So whether you're looking to boost productivity, improve team health, increase profits, or just build a system that runs without you so that you could finally go on that well-deserved vacation, we are here to help. Taking your operation seriously will change your life, and I want you to experience this life-changing impact. I cannot wait for you to be our next agency success story. I'll see you again next time.
Can I make no more? I can't replace it. Trying hard just not to waste it. It's about time. Yeah, it's about time.